I want you to picture this moment. You've just taken a flight from Russia. You've gone to Turkey. You've changed. You've waited at the airport. You're tired. You've then got a connecting flight to the UK. All you want to do is get through the airport, meet your family who are picking you up, eat some fish and chips, drink a can of mango Rubicon, and then go home and perhaps relax a bit and see your friends. But then this happens. Welcome to Sam's Russian Adventures. I'm Sam, an English guy living in Vladimir in Russia, and today is a pretty horrible day to be walking around and making a video. I'm really sorry if it's difficult to understand me at the moment. I've had 3 teeth out recently and it's really caused a problem with my speech, and so hopefully this video comes across clearly and you can understand everything, because it's quite an important video and something that I've wanted to share for a while. So as I started with that introduction about going through the whole flight and then getting to the UK, the one thing you want to do is just get through the airport. Just get through that airport and go and relax. You're a British citizen, right? So it's not like you've got to go through all the visa stuff and all of that stupid stuff. You just want to get through the airport and get home. So you take your passport out, and in the airports these days they've got the passport thing. You just push your passport against the scanning machine, the gates open like it does in the metro and stuff like that, and then you're free to go through the green or red zone and collect your bags. But when I go back to the UK and I scan my passport, the gates do not open. They do not open. And it's really interesting because an awful lot has been made recently about when you come to Russia, the problems you're going to have, the interrogations you're going to face, the hours of interrogating, of checking your phone, of doing all of this stuff. So much in the media about it. I know the British media have gone crazy about it. The American media love to talk about the problems you're going to face. They advise you not to travel to Russia, right? Don't travel to Russia. You're going to have so many problems there. You have the chance of going to jail, all of this stuff. They're really good at saying about all the problems that you would face in Russia. The thing is, you face exactly the same situation, if not worse, when you go back to your country, the country where you're born, the country that you're a citizen of. And of course they can justify it. They justify it really easily, like, look, the reason that you have to go through so much stress when you come to the UK from Russia is because potentially you're a traitor, right? And the British public and the American public are gonna, stick up for this perspective. They're gonna say, yeah, if you've gone to Russia and you come back, you should be interrogated, you should go through loads of stress because you could be a traitor. But if you're going to Russia interrogating you for coming as a citizen not of Russia, but as a citizen of the UK or the US, which are unfriendly countries, well, if they interrogate you, they're just acting out of order and being bad like Russia are. Those double standards are pretty shocking, right? Pretty shocking indeed. But that is the way it is. So, the gates don't open. I'm standing there with my passport thinking, well, what do I do? And then you see a small queue to your left or to your right of, I guess, other people who are queuing at a desk because the gate hasn't opened for them either. And so you join that queue and you look in the queue and you see, well, faces of people from countries that probably aren't on UK's most popular list. And you stand in that queue and you get to the front of the queue and you tell the person the gates haven't opened, and they take your passport and go away for a bit, type something in the computer maybe, and then you're told to wait a few minutes. and someone comes to you wearing a suit and asks you to follow them. Unfortunately, I'm not even able to tell you what happens next. You're sworn to secrecy. You cannot tell any more information. You're told that due to the whatever act it is, that you're not allowed to tell anything about what happens next. But what I can tell you is, it is not fun. It is not something you would enjoy doing. And well, is that okay or not? Because the British media love to talk about when you go to Russia, what you can expect to happen to you. Now, I've been told if I go to the UK in the future that I should not take a phone or a laptop with me at all if I want to keep that phone and laptop. Because if I want to keep it, the chances are they're going to take it and they're not going to give it back. And they're going to take it for security reasons. They want to investigate, they want to look through it. Now, we've all heard lots of stories about Americans and foreigners who come to Russia. They have their phone taken from them for a few minutes. They look at the phone, they check everything out. Recently, there's been a famous YouTuber, Sabbatical, who came to Russia and he was arrested in Russia. And I know loads of people have talked about this, and he made a story on his YouTube channel about being arrested in Russia. Now, what almost nobody knows, apart from probably my closest friends, is that when Sabbatical was arrested in Russia, his helper, his administrator or whoever it is, she reached out to me and she said, "Sam, I've got a problem. Tommy Sabbatical, the YouTuber, has been arrested in Russia. Can you help us? Can you try and find out what's happened to him? This is the place that he's been arrested in. This is the story that we've been told. Can you find out what happened?" Let's see what's happening in the area today. Not long ago, we've had what's called, in Russia, it's called Subotnik, which is a Saturday of cleaning, and you can see all the leaves that they've cleaned are all here in bags. And so I was actually in contact with Sabbatical's helper or administrator, the lady. We chatted quite a bit during his time when he was in prison in Russia, and I knew the whole inside story, but I actually didn't make a video about it. I thought, this isn't for me to kind of, rub dirt on the situation that's happened in Russia, although a lot of YouTubers did take advantage of the story to make videos about it and put him in the title and obviously get as many views as possible from this situation. I actually had the inside scoop as to what was happening, but I held back because I thought, no matter what's happened, whether I like the guy or not, I don't want to, cause him and his family even more stress. They must have been worried. It can't have been a nice situation for him, whether he's right or wrong, to have been detained in Russia. That's the kind of thing that would give you anxiety for the rest of your life, especially if your Russian isn't very good, you don't really know why or what's happening or for what reason. Of course, you'd be very scared and stressed about the whole thing. Now, I actually found out that he was going to be in prison for 2 weeks here, and it's not really in prison, it's just like held at a police station. It's being held in custody. But of course, from his point of view, I understand that it was probably a scary moment, and so therefore I didn't want to, rub dirt in his face at that particular moment. However, I've just witnessed something savage, absolutely savage. This guy in his car has just gone over the curb and he's ripped his whole front bumper off. Look at that. Savage, absolutely savage. Oh man, that's crazy. Tommy Sabbatical obviously went on to make a video about his experience of his situation in Russia, which from my point of view, when I was looking at it, he broke police procedures and he was given 2 weeks in prison. It was very clear. That was the information that I found out through my lawyer, I then passed that on to his administrator, who could tell his friends and family who were worried that he's broken police procedure, it's the rules, it's a 2-week stay in prison, not to worry, after 2 weeks he'll be out. Of course, he went on to make a sensational video about it that probably really helped to grow his YouTube channel, helped to get him lots of subscribers, where he talked in detail about his problem in Russia, where he was arrested, the things he was accused of. Only he knows what was said in the video. It's not for me to judge him based on the things he said and the things he showed in the video. Obviously, it was a scary time and a scary situation for him, and therefore he has every right to document what happened from his point of view, and that's up to him. However, it's been a couple of months since then, and he's decided to make a second video on the same subject. Now, having already been to Russia, having been arrested in Russia, having had so many bad experiences in Russia, you would think that he wouldn't want to come back to Russia, right? You would think that he would be avoiding Russia at all costs. He's already gone and he's already made his video highlighting. Чего?
Что ты там говоришь?
Какая разница?
Ты не по-русски говоришь?
Говорю, ну сейчас я могу по-русски, могу по-английски.
Можешь по-русски?
Ну да, можно, а чего?
Не, ничего.
Ладно. Sorry about that, just a bit of a disgruntled local of me walking along and speaking English on a video. Happens. Tommy Sabbatical has been to Russia, he's been through all of that stress. He's been arrested in Russia, he's been scared while he's been arrested, while he's been in prison. He's made videos explaining that whole thing. He's gained lots of new subscribers, he's got lots of views for his channel. What would be the thing to do next, right? To move on and film something else? No. Tommy Sabbatical decided, well, what I'll do is I'll make another video highlighting him getting arrested in Russia, but he'll actually go back to Russia from China, where he lives, for 24 hours so he can talk about the things that happened to him once again that were unfair in Russia, and then he can get interrogated crossing into Russia and highlight the problem of being interrogated going into Russia. There is no legitimate, realistic reason for him to want to go to the place that he's already made a video about, how bad an experience he has there. Why would he then go back there for 24 hours just to go through the interrogation so that he can come back again the next day to make a video about how bad Russia is? It's pretty crazy, right? Pretty crazy indeed. And so it's interesting to show and highlight these double standards, because yes, when you come to Russia from a non-friendly country, if you're a citizen of a non-friendly country, you will get interrogated, probably at the airport, so that they can make sure that you're, you know, not going to do anything crazy in their country and that you're not against their country. But that's going to happen to you if you come to Russia and you go back to the UK or to the US. You're going to get interrogated as well. But the thing is, the way the media will portray that and swing that is, well, he's been to a country, so he could be a traitor. So I'm going to talk about the title of today's video. The title of today's video is that you can be put in prison for 5 years for working with Russia. There's an organisation called FIRS in the UK, and it's the, let me get this right, FIRS stands for Foreign Influence Registration Scheme. If you're somebody who works with the Russian government, whether personally or with your business or your business's customers, you have to register with this organisation. Failure to do so means you could go to jail, imprisoned in the UK for 5 years. But who decides whether or not you're working with the Russian government? Well, that's a commission. Who decides that or not? The lines are very thin, and because of so much anti-Russian feeling right now, you could easily find yourself in prison in the UK. I know people who have come to Russia and joined the Russian army. They've gone back to the UK and they've had 5 years in prison. So at the same time, when you say, oh, if you go to Russia you can get yourself imprisoned, well, if you come from Russia to the UK you can get yourself imprisoned. And of course, again, I know how they're going to portray it. They're going to give it a different angle and say, well, he's probably a traitor so he deserves it. Whereas if you're going to Russia and you get arrested, they'll say, oh, he's not a traitor, he's you know, just been set up. That's how it works. When I was Googling to find out the information about FIRS, right, about the foreign, what's it called, the Foreign Influence Registration Scheme, when I was trying to Google information about this, I couldn't find hardly anything about it. I was Googling 5 years in prison for working with Russia, couldn't find anything. But I could find loads and loads of news articles about 5 years imprisoned in Russia, because the British media and the foreign media love to find examples of people that are going to prison in Russia and say how unfair Russia is. But when they have identical programs in the UK, they just keep this on the quiet. And then if it comes to light, they say, well, we're doing it for the safety of the UK, and everyone's like, oh yeah, well that makes sense because, you know, Russia are bad, right? In Russia they have the same rule, the foreign agent rule, and if you are working and you have customers from outside of Russia, then you have to register yourself as a foreign agent. And the British media love to talk about this stuff. It's like Russia controlling people, you know, not giving people the right to do their things. And oh, Britain do the same thing. Okay, that's different because Britain are trying to find traitors. All right, whereas Russia doing the same? No. Russia are doing it because they hate people and they're trying to crack down on people's freedoms. I saw an interview not long ago about a lady who now works in the State Duma in Russia, in the Russian government, who was arrested in the US and spent time in prison suspected of being a spy. Now, she was acquitted eventually of being a spy, and they apologized to her for the detention that she had in prison in the US. And she made a book, she wrote a book about her horrible situation of being in prison in the US. And she was interviewed on British media. And what did it say at the bottom when it said her name? Russian spy. Very interesting, right? Or former Russian spy or something like that. I'll find the clip, I'll put it here. And I just thought, that's very interesting, because she was arrested, she was eventually deported, but she was acquitted and found not guilty of being a spy. And on the news report, they asked her loads of questions about, well, you were arrested for being a spy and blah, blah, blah. And she went on in the news report to say, yes, I was arrested, but I was acquitted because I was innocent. However, the entire time during the news report, it says former Russian spy. And this is the kind of crap that the news spits out. It's complete double standards. And I think there's a kind of acceptance from people. They're like, well, if it's a Russian person and she's been arrested, she's a spy, you know, the government have done their job, well done, Russia are enemy number one. Whereas if it's the other way around and it's, well, American guy or British guy arrested in Russia for spying, it's like they set him up, it's a complete lie, you know, the regime there are awful, they're terrible. And it's pretty shocking how Britain do exactly the same thing that Russia do. They both do the same as each other, but when Britain do it, it's completely accepted because they're just protecting Britain, protecting the country, protecting the people, right? And it's completely accepted that if it's a Russian person, then it's probably fair. it's fair for me to come back to the UK for my passport not to work in the scam machines, and then for everything that happens next, that's completely fair. But if you go to Russia and you get interrogated at the airport, well, it's completely out of order, and it's, you know, it's something that's really unfair, and they shouldn't be treating people like that. Well, isn't it exactly the same, guys? Exactly the same. Both countries are trying to protect their borders and trying to protect themselves from potential spies, from potential, I don't know, things that could be bad that could happen in their country. But when the UK and the US does it, it's fine, and when Russia does it, it's wrong. I've completely lost my sense of kind of where I'm located. I've been walking around and speaking on this camera, and I've completely lost as to any kind of direction as to where I am right now. I'm a bit lost. It's interesting. Look at this building here. We've got all sorts of shops inside. We've got the Russia's cheapest supermarket there. We've got Fixed Price, which is like the dollar store where nothing costs $1. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed in the dollar stores nothing costs $1 anymore? It's quite interesting, isn't it? I guess when the dollar stores opened, you could purchase things for $1, whereas now the dollar's not worth as much, so it's essentially just a cheap shop rather than get these things for $1. I wonder how long it'll be until they have to change the name of the store from the dollar store to the $2 store or the $10 store. Get all this for $10. Hasn't got the same kind of ring to it, has it? I have an update. I have now found the worst basketball court in Russia. It's half concrete, half grass, and the basketball posts do not have rims on them. So it's just a case of, I guess, throwing the ball and hitting a bit of the wood. Does that count as a point? And wow, best football pitch award ever. This is ghetto. This is real ghetto. This is, look at this. If this was in a film, you could make this look real ghetto with this like panel house up there, right? And then check out this football court. It is sick. That is the most ghetto football pitch you could probably ever find. And so I want to end this video just by reiterating really how saddened I was by that last video of Tommy Sabbatical, that crappy going back into Russia, crossing over to Russia from China for 24 hours just to again recollect and remember the horrible time he spent in Russia, to then go over to Russia, make some trash video about 5 minutes long about how crap the hotel is, how crap everything looks, and about how he was interrogated, and then going back again to China. That is a trash video, trash content. Look, Tommy, you went to Russia, you had a horrible experience there, right? Now, again, while you were in Russia, I could have trashed you. I could have made a video about you being in prison while you were still in prison in Russia and trashed you about it, but I didn't. Because my videos are not about trashing people, right? It's not about trying to make places look bad. And so I could have done that, but I didn't. I didn't do that because I gave you the benefit of the doubt, because you were going through something that must have been an awful experience for you. But you've been through that. You've come out the other side of it. Okay, you told your story, which was your right to tell your story. But then going and making another crappy video, just crossing back into Russia for 24 hours to trash Russia one more time and talk about that same thing again. Go and travel the world. You enjoy traveling the world. You enjoy making content going all around the world. Have you really got to make a crap video going back into Russia just for a few hours to say, look, I'm in the hotel. It's crap compared to China where I live. Oh, look at the streets. It is all crap here. And then talk about, yes, I was interrogated, blah, blah, blah. And then reminisce about all of that crap that happened to you. Put it behind you, mate. Go and make other videos. Go and enjoy your life. I gave you the benefit of the doubt. I didn't trash you, and I'm not even really trashing you now, because you're probably a good guy who wants to make content and wants to be popular on YouTube, and I 100% get that. But don't go on that whole, oh, I'm going to trash Russia because it's easy to do so, because everyone in the world will believe whatever you say about Russia, because that's what the whole media does. The media portrays Russia and the place that I love and live in as a shithole and as being crap. Okay, I understand that it's easy to do that. It's a way to garnish subscribers, to get people saying, oh, I feel really sorry for you for your experience. But you've already been through that. You went to Russia, you had a bad time, you came back, you made a video about it. Don't make more crappy videos about it as well, mate. That's just, it's going too far now. You can make a video about me trashing me if you want to. As I've said, this isn't me trashing you. I understand you went through a bad time, but come on, don't go on that whole, you know, I'm gonna do exactly what all the foreign media do and just make crap videos about Russia. It's not fair. Hey, look at this. I like how this is so cool. They've got the bird box, right? And then they've got the feeder there, and it's all set up really well. That's really good, isn't it? And so I guess the people that live here just want to make it nice. And you can see they've done their best. They made an effort, right? They've used these old bricks here, and they've planted some trees here. And they've just used these child's, what are they called? I've forgotten what the thing's called, hula hoop, isn't it? And then look over here, they've got another bird box. This is good, isn't it? Homemade bird box with the feeder, with the seeds inside, and they've got this brush here, and I think this brush is probably for banging the rugs. And look over here, we've got the hula hoop again on the little tree or bush. So on a final note, there's going to be those of you who watch this and say, well, Sam, you deserve to be arrested because you live in Russia, and when you come back to the UK you're a traitor, right? In the UK you're a traitor because you've gone to Russia. Now to you people I say, I feel really sorry for you, because you should be able to go anywhere and do anything you want to do within the law and enjoy your life, and not have the government decide where is good and where is bad. If you move to Spain now and you go and live in sunny Spain, and then in 10 years time the British government and the Spanish government don't see eye to eye, are you going to move back to the UK and quit your life and say, well, I don't live in Spain anymore because the British government don't like it, so I should leave? No, of course you're not. And so why should I, just because the British government doesn't like Russia, move back to the UK, right? It's ridiculous. I think you should live wherever you're happy, live your life, and don't live your life by what other people say you should or shouldn't do. And at the same time, if you think I should be arrested in the UK, then when you read all this trash content about people being arrested in Russia, then you should agree with everything. Because if you agree that the UK has the right to arrest and imprison people whenever they want to, under the guise of protecting the country, then surely Russia has exactly the same right to do so. But that's where double standards kick in, isn't it? Because in your mind you're taught that if Russia does something, then they're bad and wrong, right? So if someone's arrested in Russia, they're innocent and the Russian government's just bad. Whereas if the UK does something and someone's arrested from Russia in the UK, then the UK, well done, good on you, you found a spy. That's how double standards in the media works, to brainwash people to the stage where they believe that they're good and the others are bad, whereas really we're all the same.